Let's talk about this controversy where good old Lefty Mickelson has been accused of being a cheat, primarily due to his use of the old Ping I2 wedges.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on?
Well, I think first of all, to make it very clear, he's not the only one who's using this, and there's a loophole in the law. And I mean, very briefly, without getting into all the ins and outs, as we know, it doesn't affect amateurs. So that's the good thing. It's a new rule that was introduced this year in the professional game, and I tend to support the reasons why the rule was brought in. And effectively, what they're trying to do is make golf more watchable. And a lot of people thought they should, and Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, all these guys that we know and we've heard speaking at our conferences talking about they've got to do something to make the golf ball travel less far. Well, taking on the golf ball companies, it seems, is too big an issue to do. And so I think what the rulers of the game, the USGA and the R&A came up with was to change the grooves on wedges. And the thinking being that instead of as now, you just blast your driver as far as you possibly can.
Send it out into the boonies.
And
yeah.
even if you end up in the rough, such are the grooves on the wedges,
Sticky fellows,
that you can still spin the ball and control it. So the idea, and this is why I support it, with the new grooves, they don't give you as much purchase, if you like. You cannot spin the ball as much. So it brings back the driving accuracy and a premium on that. And so I agree in principle with what they've done. But it seems, as in all these things, there are loopholes that people will try and exploit. And there is this long-standing loophole that there has been on the PGA Tour with the Ping issue, that players are allowed to use, or the Ping eye wedges with their square face grooves are not banned. So that's why Mickelson and the other guys who are using it are quite rightly coming out and saying, well, I'm playing within the rules. And let's be fair and honest. These are professional golfers. It's their living. They're trying to earn as much money as they can. And therefore, I feel it difficult to fault them on that. It's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. I know Tim Fincham, the PGA Tour Commissioner, is having a press conference in America this week. They've issued a statement already, and it's obviously quite damaging for the game. And in America, particularly, when you get a pro such as Scott McCarron accusing a fellow pro. And again, I think what a lot of people have said about Scott McCarron, you know, here's a guy who's been using one of these horrible, long-handed belly putters, which I detest, and I think they should have been banned a long time ago.
I just don't like those putters because they look ugly.
But it's, again, here's one guy accusing someone of not playing in the spirit of the game, if you like, and it's the whole issue, how is a belly putter in the spirit of the game?
Now, I saw this problem developing, in fact, before the implementation took place at the beginning of this year, Spencer. I personally think that John Solheim and party are going to stick to their guns because, you know, it's legally they are protected and they are on firm ground.
They are, and look, as we discussed just before we came on here, I know John Solheim has issued a statement saying he's prepared, I think, to talk to Fincham and the PGA Tour and see if a compromise can be reached. And there needs to be some standardization coming in. You know, it's interesting, Lee Westwood, who's played Ping all his life, since he was a young kid and has just renewed a lucrative contract to continue using them. He came out, and it was interesting, he said he hasn't taken the opportunity to use the old Ping eye wedge, which he could. He's got it in his back room at home because, again, he doesn't feel it's in the spirit. So I think I'd like to see some strong rule making here from the PGA Tour, deciding, and their player advisory committee or whatever they call it, saying, no, look, for the betterment of the game, we all have to have the same rules, the same implements, and this is what we're going to do going forward. And I think by the end of this week, we should be a little bit clearer as to how it's going to play out in terms of what clubs these players at the very elite level of the game are allowed to use.
So you reckon a decision will be taken in the best interest of the game?
I think it has to be. I mean, it can't go on indefinitely, where otherwise you're going to get this ridiculous scenario where every week you get a Scott McCarron coming out and complaining because so-and-so won the tournament only because he used these.
In the absence of Tiger Woods, we need some kind of controversy, you know?
Well, they'll always find something, but no, I think they need to act on this and nip it in the bud once and for all and get on with it.
Asian Golf TV. All golf, all day.